Welcome to the investigation, where every rock layer is a clue and every mass extinction is a planetary crime scene. Picture a world teeming with creatures stranger than any fiction. Vast reptilian grazers, saber-toothed proto-mammals, and sprawling forests of giant club mosses. Now, picture it all gone. Wiped from the planetary ledger in a geological instant. Ever wonder what it truly felt like to be the first detective on the scene of a 252-million-year-old apocalypse? That's our job today. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you find the investigation we're about to undertake is a valuable one. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from,
rock layers
which global
tell a story
cataclysm
of
you want to see investigated next.
and evolving life.
Now let's open the case file and uncover the story of a lost world. You arrive at the scene. It's a sun-scorched rock face somewhere in the Karoo Basin of South Africa. The air is dry, the heat oppressive. Before you isn't a single body, but a library of stone, and one chapter has been violently torn out. Your gloved hand traces the strata. Down here, in the late Permian layers, the rock is a biography of abundance. You can almost feel the thrum of the ancient ecosystem. It's packed with the fossilized remains of a complex world, the bones of stout, barrel-chested herbivores and the formidable skulls of their predators, the Gorgonopsians, the ruling dynasty of their day. Life here was robust, intricate, and successful. Then you reach the boundary. It's a thin, unassuming band of dark, silty shale. Geologists call it the Permian-Triassic boundary. But for our investigation, it's the case's most critical piece of evidence. This layer is the moment of impact, the planetary flatline. As you run your fingers across its gritty surface, the difference is profound. The rich fossil record below simply stops. It's a zone of silence. The cacophony of Permian life cuts out as abruptly as a power failure. This isn't a gentle transition, it's a brutal planetary-scale disappearing act. Above this line of silence, in the earliest Triassic rock, the world is a ghost town. The layers are barren at first, then, slowly, life returns. But it's a pale shadow of what came before. The diversity is gone, replaced by a monotonous, impoverished ecosystem. The central question of our entire investigation crystallizes as you stare at that stark line in the rock. What kind of killer could do this? What force of nature is so devastatingly efficient that it erases over 90% of all life on Earth? This wasn't just a murder. This was a near-total reset of the biosphere. Our first task is to understand the world that was lost. To understand the silence, you first have to hear the symphony that played before it. You step back from the bleak evidence of the boundary layer and push deeper into the past, using the fossil record as your time machine. Your investigation now takes you into the late Permian, 252 million years ago. The world you reconstruct is both alien and strangely familiar. All the continents are welded together into a single colossal landmass, Pangaea. Its sheer scale creates a climate of brutal extremes. The coastlines are battered by mega monsoons, while the continent's heart is a vast, arid desert so immense it would make the Sahara look like a sandbox. It's a world of stark contrasts. And in this world, an empire thrives. Not of men or even dinosaurs, but of the synapsids, the great dynasty of proto-mammals. They are the undisputed rulers of Pangaea. As you sift through the fossil evidence, you piece together the ecosystem's key players. At the top are the Gorgonopsians, the apex predators. Imagine a predator built like a bear, with the scaly skin of a reptile, but the powerful, upright gait of a mammal, its jaw armed with a pair of terrifying saber teeth. They are the lions of the Permian, and their fossilized skulls tell a story of dominance. But an empire isn't just its kings.
In the vast plains of southern Pangaea, Herds of
The landscape is
Dicynodonts,
populated by
ancient
vast herds
herbivores,
of
graze
Dicynodonts,
peacefully.
stout herbivores with powerful turtle-like beaks for shearing tough vegetation. They come in all sizes, from pig-sized foragers to lumbering grazers as large as oxen. Among them are other strange herbivores like the heavily armored Periosaurs, walking tanks covered in bony plates. This isn't a fragile ecosystem on the brink of collapse. It's a mature, complex, and deeply interconnected world. The food webs are intricate. The niches are filled. Sprawling forests of hardy Glossopteris trees cover the more temperate regions, providing food and shelter. Giant amphibians, some as large as crocodiles, patrol the rivers. Life has had millions of years to perfect this system. It feels permanent, unbreakable. To stand in this reconstructed world is to feel a sense of profound stability. These creatures are not a failed experiment. They are the pinnacle of evolution for their time. This is what makes the crime so baffling. The victim wasn't old or infirm. It was a planetary biosphere in its prime. How do you kill a world so full of life? You don't search for a bigger, toothier predator. You perform an autopsy on the planet itself. The clues aren't in bones, but in the subtle chemistry of the rocks laid down during the dying. You take samples from that dark, silent boundary layer and submit them for geochemical analysis. The results that come back are the planet's toxicology report, and they
Planetary
point to a poisoning
Toxicology
on a global
Report.
scale. The first clue is a dramatic shift in the carbon signature. Think of it like this. All life prefers a lighter form of carbon, carbon-12. For millions of years, the ratio of this light carbon to its heavier cousin, carbon-13, remained relatively stable in the atmosphere and oceans. But right at the extinction boundary, your analysis shows a massive negative spike. The planetary system was suddenly flooded with enormous quantities of light carbon-12. There's only one way to get that kind of signature. You have to burn or release vast reservoirs of ancient, buried life, coal, oil, or methane, on a scale that dwarfs anything imaginable. This chemical fingerprint is the calling card of a runaway greenhouse effect. The planet's thermostat was broken and the temperature was soaring. Your investigation turns to the ancient oceans. The rock layers from the seafloor at the boundary tell a chilling story. Instead of healthy, oxygenated marine sediments, you find finely laminated black shales, rich in pyrite. The fine layers mean nothing was burrowing on the seafloor. There was no oxygen to support them. The pyrite, or fool's gold, could only form in water choked with toxic hydrogen sulfide. This is the geological signature of anoxia. As the world heated up, the oceans began to suffocate. Warm water holds less dissolved oxygen, and circulation patterns stalled, creating vast dead zones that spread from the deep abyss to the continental shelves. The oceans were turning into a toxic, stagnant soup. Then you find the third piece of evidence. The same carbon dioxide that was choking the atmosphere was also dissolving into the seawater, creating carbonic acid. The oceans were becoming corrosive. You search the marine rocks for the microscopic shells of plankton, the builders of the marine food web. Just before the boundary, they are abundant. At the boundary, and for a long time after, they are gone. It's a calcium carbonate crisis. Creatures could no longer build their shells and skeletons. The very foundation of marine life was dissolving. The evidence is now clear. This wasn't a single blow. It was a cascade, a super greenhouse event, suffocating oceans and corrosive acid rain. You have the kill mechanism. Now you need to find the killer. Your forensic profile of the killer is now clear. You're looking for a culprit capable of unleashing a planetary-scale chemical assault, injecting gigatons of carbon, triggering a super greenhouse, suffocating the oceans, and acidifying the rain. With a profile this specific, you can start to identify suspects. The first one that always comes to mind in a mass extinction case is an asteroid impact. It's a clean, sudden, and devastatingly effective killer. But as you examine the evidence, the pieces don't quite fit. A large impact would leave a calling card, a crater, a layer of shocked quartz, and a spike in the element iridium. At the Permian-Triassic boundary, this evidence is missing or highly contentious. More importantly, an impact doesn't perfectly explain the slow burn nature of the carbon release seen in the isotope record. The toxicology report points less to a single gunshot wound and more to a prolonged poisoning. So you turn to your second suspect, one with a history of planetary disruption, volcanism. But you aren't looking for a single volcano. Your investigation leads you to Siberia, where you uncover the geological footprint of a completely different beast. These are the Siberian Traps, a large igneous province. To understand the scale, dismiss any image you have of a conical mountain. Instead, imagine fissures ripping open across the land for hundreds of kilometers, gushing molten rock not for days, but for hundreds of thousands of years. The result was a flood of basalt that ultimately covered an area larger than Western Europe in lava, up to several kilometers thick. This was a planetary wound that refused to heal. And here, you find the smoking gun. You cross-reference the geology of the Siberian Traps with your geochemical evidence. Remember that massive carbon spike from the toxicology report. The Siberian magma didn't just erupt in a pristine wilderness. It exploded upwards through one of the largest coal and gas basins on the planet. As the magma surged, it essentially cooked the subterranean world, vaporizing colossal deposits of coal, oil, and methane, and injecting the carbon directly into the atmosphere. This is the perfect match for the carbon-12 signature you found in the rock. The eruptions provided the trigger for the runaway greenhouse effect. From there, all the other evidence falls into place. The intense global warming explains the suffocating anoxic oceans. The volcanic gases, including carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, explain the acid rain that dissolved the shells of marine life. The timing fits too. Geochemical dating shows the main pulse of the eruptions aligns perfectly with the mass extinction event. You have your killer. With the killer identified, the final step in your investigation is to reconstruct the crime. You close your eyes and let the evidence paint the picture of the final moments of the Permian. The scene begins with the ground shuddering as the Siberian Traps tear the continent open. A haze of volcanic smog blots out the sun, casting the world in a perpetual toxic twilight. The rain that falls is acidic, stripping leaves from the Opportunist trees and turning freshwater streams sour. As millennia of eruptions pump greenhouse gases into the air, the planet bakes. The interior of Pangaea, already arid, becomes an uninhabitable furnace. The great synapsid empires, the saber-toothed Gorgonopsians and the mighty Dicynodont herds, find their world withering around them. Their food sources vanish, the air thins, and the heat becomes relentless. Their dynasty, which ruled the world for tens of millions of years, collapses into dust. In the oceans, the catastrophe is even more complete. The warm, stagnant water can no longer hold oxygen. The seafloor becomes a black, sulfurous wasteland, and the poison creeps upwards. Marine life suffocates in the anoxic water, while the very chemistry of the ocean turns against them, the acidic conditions making it impossible to build shells. The vibrant reefs of the Permian bleach and crumble. The world is dying. Yet as you comb through the rock layers just above the extinction boundary, you find something remarkable. In the barren, post-apocalyptic landscape, one creature doesn't just survive, it thrives. It's not a fearsome predator or an armored giant. It is Lystrosaurus, a humble, pig-sized herbivore with a stumpy beak and two modest tusks. And its fossils are everywhere. In some early Triassic rock formations, they make up 95% of the total vertebrate remains. This is the disaster Opportunist. Why did it survive? Your investigation reveals it had the perfect toolkit for an apocalypse. Its sturdy build and powerful limbs suggest it was a proficient burrower, able to escape the toxic air and scorching surface temperatures in a subterranean shelter. Its barrel chest housed large, efficient lungs, perfect for breathing in a low-oxygen world, and its tough beak could process the hardy, low-quality roots and stems that were all that remained of the world's vegetation. While the specialists starved, this generalist endured. With all its predators and competitors gone, Lystrosaurus inherited the Earth. For a few million years, it was the single most common land vertebrate on the planet, a lonely king ruling over a global ghost town, paving the way for the next great dynasty. The case of the great dying and the unlikely rise of its sole inheritor is closed. Our journey through this planetary crime scene reveals not just a story of destruction, but one of astonishing resilience. For 250 million years, the clues to this global catastrophe lay silent, locked away in layers of ancient stone, waiting for a detective who could read their chemical language. By piecing together the evidence, a silent boundary, a poisoned ocean, a volcanic fingerprint, and the fossils of a humble survivor, we have given a voice to a world that was almost erased from existence. These investigations do more than solve the mysteries of the deep past. They remind us that the story of our planet is one of profound, constant change, and that even in the face of near total annihilation, life, in some form, finds a way to endure. Some